Fenlon, we meet again. And again. And again.
I grow tired of your visits, cat.
As do I, you slut.
You are a slut.
You're a slut.
You are the slut.
Cat, ready to dance.
I'm always ready.
Fenlongo, I've missed our chats.
Shut up and fight.
Welcome to the mother. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. You may have already heard earlier today that Skye Nicolson will be headlining a show in her native Australia opposite the ring fellow Aussie Mariah Turner at the end of next month on the 29th. On the card, we're going to be seeing Aussie heavyweight unbeaten amateur standout Tiramoana, and some other of Matchroom's fighters in what is their first fight of their new Fox Sports Australia deal, in a card that I do think is quite bizarre, quite perplexing, because Matchroom is partnered with Fox Sports Australia to broadcast 7 major events per year on KO Sports. This deal aims to expand Matchroom's presence in Australia, running alongside a separate 5-year extension with DAZN for the United Kingdom and the United States. What's bizarre and perplexing about that? That they would have been negotiating this deal at around the same time they decided to let Jai Opetaia go, migrate over to Zuffa. Him ending up over there was a direct byproduct of Matchroom not offering him an extension. That's how that happened when Jai, more than a lot of other fighters under the Matchroom banner, would have been ideal to spearhead the effort into Australia. It's not strange that they've got Skye Nicolson fighting down there. It's strange that they didn't decide to keep Jai. And that's why it's bizarre. That's why it doesn't make sense. In any event, Skye's fight with Mariah Turner is going to be the headline fight, scheduled for 10 rounds in the super bantamweight division, where Skye Nicolson reigns as WBC interim champion, in the queue to face the winner of Scottney versus Flores. This fight for Skye reads like a stay busy fight against the local fighter, a known fighter to the Aussies. Skye Nicolson sports a professional record of 15 wins with 1 loss and no draws, 3 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 16 professional bouts. Currently on a 3-fight winning streak after having dropped a decision in March of last year to unbeaten American Tiaria Brown in the featherweight division, where she still reigns as WBC champion. Skye Nicolson has since then dropped down in weight to super bantam, and she means to challenge for undisputed down there. So she'll have to get through Mariah Turner to do it, the little-known Mariah Turner, who I'm familiar with. I've seen her fight, and she's a pretty good fighter, sporting a professional record of 12 wins with 1 loss and no draws, 6 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 13 professional bouts. Jesus, she's got eyes like Jai Opetaia. Last in action in November of last year, opposite the ring of then unbeaten Stephanie Lee Cutting, who she decisioned over 10 rounds currently, on a 7-fight winning streak after having dropped a decision to Ellie Boutel in June of 2024. Same Ellie Boutel who just got outpointed by Francesca Hennessy on a boxer show not that long ago. Back in 2024, she won a decision over Mariah Turner, and Mariah has more than rebounded since then. But is she actually ready for a fight like this with somebody like Skye Nicolson when her quality of competition is largely pedestrian and very domestic? Skye Nicolson, who was last in action in December of last year against multi-weight world champion Yuli Hangluna, who she beat quite handily over 7 rounds. In her fashion,
How Skye likes to fight.
far more experienced than Mariah at world level, and by a lot. I mean, Skye Nicolson has rarely ever fought in Australia. She's fought in the United Kingdom, fought in the United States. I even think she fought once south of the border in Mexico, and at least once in Saudi Arabia. She is world-traveled, and her quality of competition, well, it's head and shoulders above Mariah's, so this very much is a stay-busy fight for Skye Nicolson. The irony is, the Aussies would have seen more of Mariah Turner in action than they've seen of Skye, because Skye rarely ever fights in Australia, whereas Mariah, she's based out of Australia. What this does for Skye Nicolson is give her a chance to put her world-class boxing ability on display against a familiar face, the Aussie boxing scene being as insulated as it is. It'll be a good barometer for how far Skye has come since debuting in the paid ranks and how she is head and shoulders above any domestic level female boxer in the Aussie boxing scene. It's a good stay busy fight. I see the logic, but I can't help but think, wouldn't the card have been better headlined by Jai Opataya had Matchroom decided to keep him? That they could have been negotiating a broadcast deal in Australia of all places, and they let that guy go?
Well, that was fucking stupid.
There's a legitimate argument that Jai Opataya is the best Aussie boxer in the circuit, pound for pound, right now. Not as well known as Tszyu per se, not as big a draw yet, but that's what the Fox deal would have been for, to showcase your Aussie boxers and Aussie talent. That if he doesn't have that much of a profile, he probably would have got one if you would have kept him. In any event, Skye Nicolson is set to be headlining this show late next month on the 29th, and we'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches.
Well, first of all, I'd like to stay busy. They predicted Errol Spence for like later in the year, so for me, I've never been about waiting, and I've always about staying in the gym, doing another camp, and for me, it was about getting the chemistry again with my coach, with Pedro, and just learning from both of each other and getting to know each other much more better.
How has it benefited your confidence to be in camp? Obviously, get the win the last time around. Attempt another win here, and just put in the work with Pedro.
Yeah, it was. I was talking about it before, but the last time I fought against Velasquez, I went from doing like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds, maybe to a certain extent where I was overdone in most fights, to doing more technical type rounds, and it's play around, and sometimes it's very hard, sometimes it's softer, but it's just different types of rounds, and going from war to war to war to war to a more of a approach of just like letting it flow has been a big part for me. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned with Pedro. But now we're stepping it up, and we're going for harder sparring, and the rounds have been getting good.
Yeah, I've not noticed some of the Pedro's videos on Instagram. Very technical guy. Even
you say technical, but I say scientific. I think
a
he's
lot of
very
cool old school videos of him, like him holding pads for Casamayor and guys like that. Like he goes back a while.
It's the difference in the philosophy of an Aussie fighter versus an American. Errol Spence Jr. definitely got destroyed the last time we saw him when he fought Terence Crawford. But, Tszyu, he got destroyed by Bakram Murtazaliev, and he didn't wait a year and a day to get back in there and get back to work, whereas Errol, to me, also got destroyed by Sebastian in what was their rematch. He lost that one too, and once again, he didn't wait a year and a day to get back in the swing of things, nor should you. The more distance you put between yourself and what was a bad outing, the more it becomes a distant memory, whereas with Errol, the more distance you put between yourself and your last fight, I would say the harder you make it on yourself to try and come back. He's been taking a tour of different boxing gyms across the country, obviously in the market for a new trainer now that he's separated from Derek James. All the while, Tszyu says he wants to stay busy, he wants to stay active. He's got a win over Velasquez, now he wants one over Nurja. In a fight that will stream live, free on Prime Video in the United States for Prime members, live April 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time from Australia, where it'll be 5 a.m. Also on the stream, Sam Goodman versus Rodrigo Ruiz in an IBF Super Bantamweight title eliminator, 160-pound prospect Callum Peters, a 2024 Australian Olympian, versus fellow unbeaten Delio Muzinho, in what will be, arguably, the PBC's second show of this calendar year. The first is the card with Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman. That one's a pay-per-view. This one isn't.
Technically isn't a PBC show either because it's not PBC paying to make it happen. It's actually No Limit Promotions. They're just broadcasting it here due to what is their relationship. I didn't realize that it was still ongoing.
And that's for the first week of April. That same weekend, Zuffa is supposed to be doing their 5th card.
On the 5th.
Tszyu staying active and getting more time in with his new trainer, Pedro Diaz, is about the smartest thing he can do. Staying sharp, staying active, learning new things, still breaking in a new trainer. I actually like the idea of a fight between him and Errol because you could argue that Errol has competed at a much higher level than Tszyu for a longer duration of time, albeit at a smaller weight, but the time away balances the scales.
That even if you think Errol Spence Jr. comes from a better amateur background and he's had a better pro career, having not fought in 3 years, that doesn't help.
Now, I've seen the counter-argument made that, well, having not fought in such a long time, it's allowed him to fully recover, and maybe he's more well-preserved than Tszyu, because Tim's got like 3 losses now, 2 to Sebastian and 1 to Bakram. Errol just has the 1.
More well-preserved, huh?
Well, that's what some people are saying, but ring rust is ring rust, and when you ain't fought in 3 years, debuting at a new weight against a guy who has been fighting.
I don't know.
Timmy's got to make it past Dennis Nurja of Albania to make it to the Errol Spence Jr. fight. And as I stated in a previous video, Dennis Nurja is another Anthony Velasquez kind of guy. An unbeaten fighter
You get a lot of fights.
who's managed to stay unbeaten by fighting what are largely pedestrian-level opponents. Dennis Nurja has not fought anybody world level. The man hasn't even fought in a 12-rounder yet.
Thus, I'm expecting Tim to win. It's just a question of does he win by decision or does he hit the gas and go for the knockout.
I lied to everyone the entire time, and poor Jai Obatai suffered because of it.
It's my dream to become undisputed, and unless everyone works together towards that dream, you know, I can't accomplish that.
They probably signed Obatai and told his entire team, oh yeah, we'll just, we'll let you unify.
Would I lie?
And of course, it wasn't gonna happen. So instead of fighting for a belt that he loves, Jai was stuck fighting for absolutely nothing against a guy who had 0 championship experience.
Who let you in here is what I want to know.
And Jai was obviously disappointed when he spoke to Max Tampon after the fight.
Man, I'm chasing the belts.
Of course he wants to fight for all the belts. Every fighter does. Nobody wants the piece of Zuffa belt they're trying to push on us. I mean, you're the one who said you would never recognize all of them about a year ago.
Yes, I will not recognize any of the other sanctioning bodies.
And you hate every promoter.
Bob Arum's been in the business for 50 years. He put 1 fight on this year. Does Top Rank have a TV deal yet, anybody? De La Hoya? Don't even get me started on that guy. I haven't seen or heard anything from Al Heyman. Eddie Hearn is the manager now.
So, if you hate everyone so much in boxing, why are you in our sport?
Get the out of here!
You don't give a about the fighters, just like you never gave a about the UFC fighters, which Ronda Rousey exposed on Monday.
It's why so many of their top athletes are leaving to go and find pay elsewhere. It's why their champions like Valentina are selling pictures of their titties on OnlyFans.
Thank you, Ronda, for confirming what we all already know.
Do it.
Look, with TKO, you're a number in line. You aren't a human being. You contribute to their bottom line, and that's all. You sign with Zuffa, and you'll be tricked into a bunch of just like Jai Obatai was.
You also know how I operate.
Nothing is ever what it seems with them. And I'll say it again. Fighters beware of these pigs with lipstick.
It's Oscar De La Hoya's contention that Jai Opetaia was tricked into signing to Zuffa. They told him they'd help him unify, but Dana already said he's not going to recognize the other sanctioning bodies. Is that the case? Did they trick him?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have kicked out the $73,000 sanctioning fee if it wasn't their intention to help Jai Opetaia not only keep his belt, but unify it with the other ones that are out there.
Okay, then how do you reconcile Dana White first saying that he wasn't going to recognize the sanctioning bodies and then working with the IBF on this?
He changed his fucking mind. He's allowed to do that. They must have realized that familiarity is a big deal in the sport of boxing, and you can't just launch a new promotion with its own belt without any sense of continuity, because the boxing fans are big on that. So to get your Zuffa belt some respect, you want a known champion, a recognized champion to hold it. Enter Jai Opataya. But the short version,
Dana White changed his mind. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
You think that makes him a hypocrite? How many hypocritical statements over the years have we got from Oscar De La Hoya? He's the king of throwing stones in a glass house. Still pointing out everybody else's shortcomings, making no light of his own that one of your star fighters, Virgil Ortiz, is on the bench for the foreseeable future and unable to fight due to what is your rift with him.
If what your message is that Dana White is bad for boxing and he doesn't give a shit about his fighters, some people might say that you don't give a shit about yours. Virgil wants to leave you. Ryan wants to leave you.
Why is that? Because of how well you're treating them, or because of how much you give a shit about your fighters?
What else is interesting is that 3 months into the new year, DAZN has yet to renew with Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions. They have a card coming up this weekend, headlined by Arnold Barboza and Kenny Sims.
It's an encouraging omen.
It's a good sign for the future of their relationship that DAZN, in the absence of a multi-year extension like the one they just did with Matchroom, they decided to pick up this show and put it on. But still, Oscar is between broadcasters right now. He's really in no position to point out Zuffa's shortcomings when he has so many of his own.
He's trying to turn this over on Zuffa, make it their fault that Jai Opataya is going through what he's going through, when really it's the IBF's fault.
Collusion.
And whoever else is working with them to freeze Zuffa out of the boxing space. A legal letter has since gone out, accusing Eddie Hearn, the sanctioning bodies, and several others of collusion within the sport of boxing. For those not familiar with the term, what does that mean? Collusion is a secret, deceitful agreement between two or more parties, often competitors, to conspire and defraud a third party or gain an unfair market advantage. In this instance,
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Conspiring with one of the sanctioning bodies to punish Jai Opataya due to his affiliation with Zuffa that I consider unethical, as a means to stifle Zuffa's growth, the growth of their stable, by punishing any fighters that might consider going over there at the expense of their alphabet titles. But unless it's written in these sanctioning bodies as charters or bylaws that they are not allowed to participate in the formation of any independent leagues within the sport, they may be overstepping their bounds.
Going too far.
Thus, what Oscar De La Hoya wants you to believe is that Zuffa tricked Jai Opataya. But as stated, I don't believe that, because they wouldn't have kicked out the money for the sanctioning fee if that were the case.
They observed all of the necessary provisions, and even if Dana White is on camera originally saying that he wasn't going to recognize the sanctioning bodies, and he wasn't going to work with them,
he changed his mind. He changed his fucking mind! Is that a crime? Is that written in the sanctioning bodies as charters or bylaws?
You're not allowed to change your mind.
So many people are leaning on that argument to justify what are the IBF's unethical business practices.
It isn't right.
Jai Opataya was your reigning champion long before Zuffa came into it. That he shouldn't get caught in the crossfire of all of this. Zuffa by themselves haven't actually done anything to you.
Nothing to warrant what you may be doing now.
But Oscar wants to put his spin on it, spin the narrative, that this is happening to Jai because Jai was tricked.
If he was tricked, it wasn't by Zuffa Boxing, it was by the IBF.
He thought so long as he followed their rules, he'd get to keep his title. Apparently not.